Hey Kipsters, I hope you're having a great week so far. I know that my brain feels like it's been growing so much when I solve division with fractions. Today our aim is that I can solve, you will be able to solve division word problems, no problem. And the reason is because you have grit and we've been practicing all week dividing whole numbers by unit fractions and unit fractions by whole numbers. Let's get started. So here you have two different division problems. 3 divided by 1/5 and 1/5 divided by 3. Let's take a look at the first 3 divided by 1/5 first. What does it mean when we say 3 wholes divided by a fifth? Go ahead and lock it up with your partner. I hope you guys discussed that you have 3 whole pizzas and each pizza is divided into 5 slices, into fifths. So you're wondering, how many pieces do I have now? I'm a visual person, so I like to create my models. Oh, I didn't use pizzas, I used Hershey's. So here's my 3 Hershey bars. And we always start with the first number, so that's where our 3 wholes came from. And then I split each Hershey bar into fifths. So you can see that now each Hershey bar has 5 little slices. So I can share my Hershey bar with more people now. The pieces are smaller, but more people get some, which is always nice. So now I can share my 3 whole Hershey bars with 15 Kipsters. If I didn't split them, I would only be able to share them with 3 people. Now let's look at the second example. It's the reverse. If you notice now, 1/5 comes first, divided by 3. So why don't you lock it up with your partner and tell them, what does it mean when it says 1/5 divided by 3? Remember, start with the fifth first. Lock it up, tell your story. This was my story. This means I only have 1/5 of a Hershey's bar. So I only actually have, if we go back to this little Hershey's bar here, oops, I need the pen, not the laser pointer. It actually means that I only have 1/5. I don't have the whole Hershey bar, I just have that little slice. And now I need to share that little piece with 3 different people. So I'm going to show you your model again. Here's your 1 Hershey bar, divided into 5 slices, and I only get 1 out of those 5 slices. But before I eat it, I need to cut it again so that I can share with not just me, but 2 other people. So I'm wondering, how much, ooh, that's yucky, is this little Hershey piece worth? Oh, it's a little heart. Well, I have 1 out of 15 of my original candy bar to eat. And I found my denominator by counting up all the new little pieces. There's 15 new pieces. I'd like you to lock it up with your partner. What is the difference between these 2 division problems? Lock it up. You might have talked about a bunch of different things. You might have noticed that one starts with a whole and one starts with a fraction. You might have said they're actually opposite problems, Miss Stray, because when I start with a whole, I actually get to share it with more people. And when I start with a fraction, I have a very little piece of candy. We're going to talk more about the difference when the fraction's first and the whole is first. We do know one thing though, it totally changes our answer and it changes our model. Let's move on to some practice problems. So let's talk about Miss Whitman and let's see if we can solve this word problem. Miss Whitman has a piece of string that is 2 yards long. She cuts the string into smaller pieces that are each 1/6 yards long. How many pieces of string can she cut? Well, first, I'm definitely going to underline how many pieces of string. And this reminds me of those questions we would write about how many pieces of pizza do I have? Well, how much string did I start out with? I started off with a piece of string that was 1 yard long. Here's my 1 yard. And here's my 2nd yard. Okay? And here's, it's kind of like I have 2 pieces of string because here's my 1st yard and my 2nd yard. And then I start to cut it into sixths. So I'm going to cut each whole yard into 6 little pieces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here's my little piece, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sixths. Very good. So now I need to do it to the second one. Six pieces. So now she can cut 12 pieces of string. And I know you're going to go beyond Z. I'd like you to write that as your solution sentence. It's super great that we were able to create models, but now we actually need to write it as a division problem. So what do we start with? What did Mrs. Whitman start with? Think about what her total was. She had a total of 2 yards of string. So the 2 is the first number in our problem. She's cutting the string into smaller pieces. That sounds like dividing it or splitting it up. So I'm going to divide into groups of 1/6. So the whole came first, the fraction came second. Now I'm going to use my Smart Cut. I know that 2 is really just 2 over 1. The division problem changes to a multiplication, and I flip the second fraction to be 6 over 1. So my answer becomes 12 over 1. If the denominator is 1, it's like an invisible 0 or an invisible 1. So again, my answer is 12. My Smart Cut and my model match. Let's look at the second example. Ooh, this is about me. I love to use pictures when I'm working with word problems, so if you find yourself and you want to draw a model of a Gatorade bottle, please do so. It's great to see these pictures in your mind. Just like when we read, we like to make pictures in our mind. Miss Dre has 1/8 of a bottle of Gatorade. Oh, so I really don't even have this whole Gatorade. Okay. I actually have a Gatorade that's split up into 8 pieces. So really the only amount of Gatorade that I have left is this very bottom 1/8. So I've actually drank all of this. This is all, I drank all of that. So it's kind of invisible right now, but it's there for you. So I drank I have an 1/8 of my Gatorade. And then I decide to be nice. So here's my 1/8 of a bottle. And I pour my Gatorade into 4 glasses. So here's my 1/8 of a Gatorade. And I'm going to try and split it up into 1, 2, 3, 4 glasses. Because Kipsters, they need to drink to stay hydrated. So it says, how much Gatorade is in each glass? Well, I can't pour 1/8 into every glass. I need to split it up because I'm splitting it with 4 Kipsters. So 1, 2, 3. So now we have 4 groups. And so how much of this little piece of my Gatorade, little liquid piece of my Gatorade, is actually going to end up in the glass? Well, it's going to be just 1 part out of, let's count the total of my Gatorade bottle now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. Only 1/32 of the original Gatorade bottle, so a very little droplet of Gatorade is going to make it into the glass. So go ahead and write your solution sentence now. And I'd like you to try the Smart Cut with your teammate. Press pause. I hope you guys have tried out the Smart Cut together. Let's think through it so you can check your work. Ask yourself, what do I start with here? Did I start with the 4 whole glasses? No, those came second. First, I had 1/8 of a bottle of Gatorade, so now there's a fraction first. And you should be nodding and saying, of course there's a fraction first, Miss Dre, because my answer's a fraction. Then I take that piece of my Gatorade, part of my Gatorade, and I actually have to split my Gatorade even more because I'm pouring it. I'm splitting it for 4 people into 4 glasses. So each glass will have 1/32. Let's check that with our Smart Cut. It becomes 4/1. Make sure 1/8 stays where it is, times 1/4. My answer becomes 1/32 of the Gatorade will be in my glass. It matches. All right, Kipsters, I think you're ready to go and work with your partner. So what do you do now? Please work with your partner to finish all of the word problems. Finishing all of the word problems means no Wall Street for you. And I'm always there if you need to grow your brain a little bit more. Be careful when you're dividing. Ask yourself if you're starting with a whole number or are you starting with a fraction? I do need to see 2 things on everybody's question. Draw the model and use the Smart Cut. Lastly, check your answers and then you can work on your Beyond Z work, which might be a little bit trickier, but I know I have some zesty Kipsters up for the challenge. Have a great day working as a team. Can't wait to check in with you soon.